The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Let's listen as Lorraine Lapointe, coach, therapist, educator, speaker, and founder of Head Heart Synergy, brings together another enlightened guest to inspire and motivate us to move forward, achieve our dreams and desires, so that we experience midlife awakening.
And I'm your host, Lorraine Lapointe. Today we'll enjoy another candid conversation that reveals how to bring back a sense of balance and how to find forward focus. Today, take just a few moments to join us as we explore the possibilities and the perspectives that provide us with greater inner peace, power, passion, and purpose. Because that's what I call living at the edge of fulfillment in a midlife awakening.
Well, hello and welcome to our friends around the world. I wonder, have you ever had the privilege to notice how challenges can bring us to the next best thing in our life? Well, I have some friends who consider themselves wild women and many other wonderful people that I know. And they've come to themselves through experiencing something that they refer to as the dark night of the soul. We all have those trials and tribulations. And sometimes we discover in the middle of those that we are powerful beings in our own right. And these wonderful spirits around us are here all the time. And just because we don't notice them doesn't mean that they're not here, which reminds me of one such person who we are lucky enough to meet this week, a fiery red-headed guest named Christine Dorie. So she knows that there's something big happening in the world, just as many big things have already happened to many of us. And she also knows how important it is to be selective about how we share our gifts, our visions, and our insights. However, some of the greatest empowerment and comfort comes from sharing our stories with others. And this week, our guest will candidly share her story about why she says, "I'm that girl," the name of our show today. And by the way, for those I haven't met before, I am Lorraine Lapointe, and you can think of me as a guide for people who are standing between something they survived and who they are becoming. Because right here and right now is where you're meant to be. And I'm hoping that this show, or I'm trusting this show, will help you gain perspective and some healing along the journey. Because research shows that our perspective changes. As it changes, we get stronger. And that's why we reach out through this radio and Talk for TV program each week, so that we have an inspiring and safe and sacred space to explore different ways to live with greater peace, power, passion, and purpose. So today, whether you're here live or you've come across us later on, we invite you to engage and connect with us. And each week we broadcast in all kinds of different places through different social media platforms. So I invite you to notice when there's something in the conversation that sparks your interest, and let us know what that is, because we want to connect with you. We want to dig into interesting topics and find ways to gain that fulfillment that we all crave. So you can join us by simply adding your comments and your questions into whatever chat facility there is. And I invite you to encourage friends and family to also join us and enjoy this episode as we explore how our guest has become that girl here on the edge of fulfillment. And we're on the Women4 Women Network Radio, that's W4WN, and Talk for TV. And I also want to acknowledge our producer, Roxy, for all of her work that we don't know that she does behind the scenes. She'll pull up the comments and put them on screen, and she helps queue up questions and that kind of thing. So thank you so much, Roxy, for all of your assistance with that. And we love to answer your questions, because then we get to see how you would like to shape this program into something that's most interesting for you. And for each comment, share, like, every interaction we have is an opportunity to provide fresh water wherever it's needed in the world through B1G1. And that's why it's so good to have you here on the Edge of Fulfillment today and every Friday at 10 a.m. And after this short break, we'll meet with today's guests as you listen here on the Women4 Women Network radio on the Edge of Fulfillment. We'll see you and hear you and speak with you after this short break. We'll be
Did you know video is the future on content? There are 3 good reasons why video is the future of content. Number 1, videos are often more engaging than simple pictures or music alone. Number 2, it's much easier to tell your story through video. Number 3, because we love to watch video, they go viral much faster. Hey, notice you're still watching right now. See how well it works. Next time we can play your video here instead. Ask me how. Shine online on Talk4 TV and W4WN Radio.
Hey, are you looking for a brighter future? Wishing for greater calm, clarity, and confidence? What if you knew an inside job was the answer? Your mission: stop the inner burn, gain mental fitness so you get more out of life. Imagine in about 15 minutes a day for just 6 weeks. Come on, we'll show you how. Don't miss it. Just go to www.lorraine.gives/mfitness and join us right now.
Hey, welcome back. Good morning, Sherry. So good to have you here. So, quick recap. I'm really eager today to welcome our guest. She's known as Soul Rocker, and you'll either love her or she'll set you on the edge, which is most important and appropriate for this show, for sure. Christine is a natural born leader, and she is one of these people who's done her very best to make life better for those around her. And she has no patience for drama, or she has no time for those who like to grandstand, puff themselves up or act with any falsity. She loves to be, clear and authentic. And it's been said that Christine tried to be, normal once, but it was the worst 10 minutes of her life. And her friends know that she can be blunt and short, but she has a massively huge heart, and she puts her whole self into everything she does. Recently she invited her friends and family for tea, and what she meant by that was sipping whiskey from a teacup. And so although she has a heart of gold, if you abuse her trust, she can be true to her red-haired heritage, and she's absolutely beautiful, but she can be dangerous as wildfire. So let me stop talking about her and let's meet Christine Dory.
Good morning, Lorraine.
Good morning, Chrissy.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, it's so good to have you here. Thanks for being with us today. And as you know, this show is all about a candid conversation, just to talk about our stories. And you've had a most interesting life. And so where would you like to begin your story?
Well, let's start off with the hashtag of I'm that girl. I'm that girl came to me many years ago when I'd always watched phases of the moon. And I always believe, and I still believe to this day, that the moon follows me, nobody else. And I'm that girl. And that's how it came about. So that's how that was created. And Soul Rocker came to me years ago, where I wanted one tag name that I could incorporate all the things that I've learned, all my beliefs, whether it be about Druid, pagan, Christianity, whatever, and I could put them under one umbrella. So that's how that came about.
That is so cool. And I
Yeah.
want to say good morning to Erica. Erica's joining us as well.
Hi,
Great to
Erica.
have you here. And Sherry says, I know what you mean about the moon. Yes. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this. I did new moon ceremonies for a long time because there were already full moon. And
Yes.
the moon is a fascinating
Phases.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. So when I was doing new moon, it's all about renewal, right?
Yes.
Starting something new and renewal. And it's funny because sometimes people don't realize that new moon means that there's no moon in the sky. Of course there is one.
There is one, but we just can't see it. It's hidden. But it's also about stepping back and manifesting new things and new beginnings and new it's about bringing more I will call it abundance or new goals or whatever into your life. And that to me was very important. I believe in the new moon phases too as well. And with the full moon is about the releasement. I was fortunate enough to be in England, and I experienced a full moon ceremony underneath the Glastonbury tour. So it's new moons are great. They're about new beginnings and new starts and new forward thinking.
Yeah. And so you were, I mean, each moon phase brings us a different energy. So there's new moon for beginnings. There's the waxing and the waning is as the moon appears to grow and shrink, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about new or full moon under the Glastonbury tour.
Oh, it was fabulous. It was fabulous. And in fact, I'm going to recommend after the show to get in touch with the third lady that was there. Well, there's the two other ladies that I was with. And, when you do open ceremony for full moon service or full moons, because I was in a different country, I was the only one with a skirt on because, it's a full circle, right?
Right.
And I was with my one other friend that I traveled from Canada with, and the third party we met up that they had previously met in England, and she sung in soprano. So, so it was really, really exciting. And I was thinking about her the other day when I said, yes, I will come on to the show. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I should recommend Sonia to you as well. And but it was so surreal. It wasn't like full moon ceremonies that we have with our friends and family. It was different, and it was very magical, whether it was the spirit that was around us, whether it was just being a foreigner in England and being a crazy redhead. But hey, we went with it. It was really beautiful. And and it transformed me that day. I remember it. It changed me.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah, we had a question from Rachel. She said, so what is full new moon ceremony? Well, most moon ceremonies, as you mentioned, predominantly women gather. Not that we exclude men, but it is a women's ceremony. And we wear a skirt because the skirt allows us to have that circle and be open to the earth. quite often the moon ceremonies, and now I'm just going to mix and match here. So
Yeah.
please jump in with full moon versus new moon and any other. But at the new moon ceremony, we write our intentions. So I see the phases of the moon really driving business, driving our lives, just like it drives the tides and the way it affects water all over the earth. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
huge gravitational pull from the moon, enough to move the oceans. So
Absolutely.
this
Absolutely.
is no small feat. And at new moon, it is a chance to renew, as I said. So set intentions. And if you get really specific about what it is that you can accomplish and want to accomplish over a moon cycle, so the new moon allows you to set the intention. The next
Absolutely.
phase of the moon is the planning, organizing, preparing stage. Then comes full moon, and full moon is when all you realize what it is that you've planned. You
Yeah.
celebrate, you get excited to share what it is that is
Absolutely.
been created or being created. And then the final phase, of course, is the doing and the cleanup and the getting set for the next move forward.
Yeah.
So I just love the fact that we have something, just up there.
It's up
that
there.
can, just up there that
Well,
can
I'm going to add to the new moon ceremony too, as well. A lot of people don't realize that you don't have to sit in a circle, though, and it's something that I've learned over time, that you don't have. It's much more powerful to bring people's energies in. But even if you can't gather with people, like with COVID, keeping people apart and whatever, it's writing on a piece of paper, it's writing on a bay leaf, it's writing on an intention. And I've learned over time that it's not so much the magical potions that go in, it's what comes from the heart and the hands that put in the attention on anything that we do in our lives. So I'm that girl.
That's awesome, Christine. So these days, what really lights you up as you step into your best self?
I'm learning homesteading. I'm learning gardening. I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, I'm learning to be a domestic goddess, and I like it. It's really fun.
Getting back to the roots, I think
Getting back to the roots, absolutely. And there's a lot to be said about grounding and feeling, and I don't know. My passion is stability. A lot of people don't understand that stability is something that a lot of people take for granted. But when you've never had stability, then you learn to appreciate that, right? So.
Yeah. So are you interested in sharing a little bit about hi, John, good to see
Hi,
you
John.
here. What has led to that lack of stability? So what's been the most,
I
I
think,
love, I love what Dory just said. Energy flows where attention and intention goes. Yes,
that's
absolutely.
right.
So for you, do you want to back up the bus just a little bit and tell us a little bit about yourself so that we know who Chrissy is?
Stability is, going through different life changes and going through different life events. I call it events. I'm going to call it events. Experience grief at a very early age, experience abandonment at an early age, and then like survival. It's survival. You become in a survival mode, and when you stop and you sit back and you go, oh, I haven't been in a survival mode for a very long time, it's like, then you appreciate that grounding and that stability, and that you find your passion and your creativity, right? So I don't know if you want me to go into more details, but
well, if you on this show, you get to share whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you like, whatever And I know at the top of the show, I said we're careful about what we share and who we
Yeah.
share it with, and how we put ourselves out there, because sometimes when we share ourselves, others have a hard time accepting.
Absolutely. Well, I knew at an early age that I was gifted. I always saw spirit, but I never understood it, and I was always scared of that. So,
How did that manifest for you? Like when you say I saw spirit, there are some people that are going to be like, "What?"
yeah, I saw
Yeah.
spirit. I knew I was gifted. It manifests over time, and I really got into it when I was 11, and then I learned that my grandmother read tea leaves, and I was like, well, how do you do that? And she's like, but you can do that too. And I'm like, I can, and I can, and I can.
Mm.
So it was always that positive reinforcement from her about that spirit side. My trip to England concluded that finally later on in my life, that the other side of my creation was from England. So maybe not so much in Glastonbury, but I understood that, oh, there's more ancestors around me. There's more driving, that, we talk about spirit, you can feel it, but you can't see it, right?
Mm.
So my trip to England confirmed that. So, but it took a long time to get there, but I could never, I couldn't put my finger on it just quite. I read tea leaves. I still do. I'm selective about who I do it for. I like the old fashioned way where you sit down, you have a cup of tea with somebody and you say, oh, look at that. Maybe it's time to read. So, I just had a natural ability to do those things.
And so when you read, do you read with like prophecy, or can you read events? Like I've had tea leaves read a few times, and it's always different. I think it differs with the interaction of the people.
I think it does, and I think it differs with the energy that you bring to as the sitter across from the reader, on what your intentions are and how you see things. Interesting, when I was in England, I did get a reading done over there, and she couldn't read me. And she had her runes, she had her cards out, and I'm like, come on, I'm not trying. Like, I was a blank wall. I wasn't trying to hold anything back, but she couldn't get it. So I said, thank you. I thanked her for her time, and I carried on.
Well, and that happens. Sometimes it's just a misalignment with people. So I wonder about this. Like, was there a time in your life that you felt like something was missing, or that there was an emptiness that you wanted to fill, like a need to fill?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I when my marriage fell apart, there was a lot of emptiness. And there was a lot of emptiness within that marriage.
Mm.
But we're raised a certain way. We're raised in different beliefs that, oh, you should stick it out, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, no, I want my soul back, because I'm lost, and this isn't my path. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and it's funny how the universe brings you back around to where you're supposed to be. So,
Yeah,
and I raised two boys. I love them dearly. They're 25 and 23, and they're not rock stars, but they're my rock stars. And laughter is always good medicine. And I don't know. And I finally found it. Like, I found that contentment, and I found all the missing pieces as I went along after the divorce. Divorce is a hard grief. It's a very hard grief.
well, there's all the societal stuff that goes with divorce.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it's Disney, right? As little girls, we watch it constantly, and they lived happily ever after.
But
But
that,
they don't
but
tell
we
you that
don't.
happily ever after means doing laundry.
Well, happily ever after means doing the work on you to finding your happiness.
Yeah.
And once you become happy within yourself, then you can have the happy ever after. But there was a lot of work to be done, I can assure you. I said to my sister was visiting, and I said to her the other day, I said, Cinderella, I remember going to the show with you, and she's my half sibling, but she's my sister. I love her unconditionally. And I said, I remember Cinderella. And she goes, that was your favorite fairy tale? And I said, yeah, because it dictated at the time growing up that I had a stepmother, and maybe not wicked, but I had a stepmother, and that wasn't how I saw my life, and I didn't really want that. I wanted to be with my grandmother. So, it's funny how things come around. And then she carried on and tried to tell me the real Cinderella story about how it doesn't end very nice. How she didn't lose her shoe at the end of the ball. And I'm like,
Oh dear.
oh no, don't tell me that. I want good things, good vibes, honey, good vibes. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's funny how sometimes the stories, it's like the Three Little Pigs story told from the perspective of the wolf.
Oh yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes. And
well,
bacon is always good, right?
all stories are perspective, right? Yeah. So is there something that you know now that you wish you'd known at some point earlier in your life?
Well, it's funny because, I always felt that I always lacked confidence. I didn't have that self-worth. And if I could go back to my younger self, confidence is something that you always have. It's whether you experience, like you give forward out. Um, and I wish that I had, I always said, even as raising the boys, like in my 20s and 30s and early 40s, I said, wow, where do I find my confidence? And I used to pray on that. Believe it or not, I prayed on that. Oh, please give me my confidence. I'll be a really good girl. Where do I find this? I'm that girl, right?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, well,
holy shit. Come on, Christine, get it together.
well, and the lack of confidence is those 10 saboteurs, those negative voices we have in
Absolutely.
our head, that we need to unfriend those critical voices. Because
Yes.
I think of confidence as being like air. We don't say I need more air. I'm worried about not having air. If I have air, then you don't have air. We don't say those things. And it's like confidence. Sometimes people, it's like, well, if I'm confident that I'm taking something from you, or I need
Yeah.
confidence. Where do I buy that?
Yeah.
You
Where
know,
do I buy this?
and
But
people,
I found at a later in life that I always had it, and I never
yeah.
knew that. And isn't that it's not sad, but it's ironic. Like, so your midlife bliss. Oh, I have my confidence, and it's always within. It's never, you don't go and find it. It's always there. So that was one hard lesson to learn. I'm that girl. So I tend
Mm.
to always take the side road and not the easy way. So
Hacking through the jungle on the side of the highway, I call it.
absolutely showing some leg and away I go.
Well, I remember my mom putting on her makeup one day, and I wasn't very kind. I've told this story before, but I wasn't very kind at 15. And I said, how does it feel to be as old as you?
Ah!
And her words were, I feel just like you, but I've done more stuff. And I
Yes,
don't care what people think about me. Where that lack of confidence came for me was always worried about what other people were thinking, what
thank
other
you.
people were. And now, of course, I'm at this ripe old age, and I recognize that it doesn't matter what
It
other
doesn't.
people have a right to their opinion, and
Absolutely.
I don't need to concern myself with it,
I
really.
I remember in my late 30s, and somebody said, when somebody talks about you, it's really none of your business. And that would confuse me, because it'd be like, but they're talking about me. What are they doing? And then it occurred to me, you're right. It is none of my business. Let them talk.
Well, and if my mom also had this saying, and if they're talking about you, they're leaving someone else alone.
Well, yeah, and that was true. And then, I can't remember what movie it was, but it was always give them something to talk about. So you give them something to talk about
Oh
and let
yeah.
them laugh.
Well, that's why I was talking at the top of the show about wild women, because
Yeah, give them
what
something to talk about. I've done
be
a lot. I've done a lot in my life. And woohoo.
be the domestic goddess, be the soul rocker. So
Absolutely.
now, one of the things that we often do on the show is we often pull an oracle card. And
Yes.
I'm wondering if you would like to do that today.
Let's do that today. I don't have any of my cards. Usually I have like a 25 decks
I
hanging
have them.
around, but
I have mine right here. So I'm just going to shuffle
okay.
and you tell me when, and we will see what the cards have to tell us.
Now, let's do it now.
Ooh. Divine Matrix. So
I'm that girl.
let's find out what Divine Matrix is all about. Divine Matrix. It says, do you ever wonder how synchronicities come together? We get trapped in an idea that the world is a place of separate parts with lots of spaces in between. Because the true quantum spiritual nature of reality is very confusing. You are not separate from what you desire. Everything is intrinsically connected. And even that which you have not yet observed as part of your life experience is still connected to you. You don't live in a vacuum. You're surrounded by a multitude of realities that are brought to life by you and others. But you're being invited to be conscious of the patterns that you weave.
Yes.
You will see evidence of truth of this divine matrix today. Just be observant. See what you do matters.
That's lovely. What a beautiful message, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Synchronicities. Now, there's another topic all by itself. Synchronicities.
Synchronicities. So I worked with an absolutely amazing woman at one point in time, and she was teaching me so much about myself. And one of the things that she taught me was appreciation of something beautiful. She said, always wear, like, one of the reasons I wear this ring is it's labradorite. And
Right.
as it moves in the light, it changes color, like into the different blues, and it's absolutely beautiful. And she says, always wear something where you can appreciate beauty.
Yes.
And the other thing is, she said, start watching for synchronicities. They're
Yes.
everywhere.
They are. And it's, the everyday life is magic with synchronicities, whether it's, out there taking pictures of the moon at 6 a.m. and watching the stars and listening to the birds, because the birds talk a lot, right? Or it's being in the right place at the right time. It's never by accident. It's always by synchronicity.
Well, I accidentally ran into someone in the grocery store that I was thinking about just the other day. Do you hear like,
Yeah.
like, and it happens all the time, so it's not unusual. But if
Well,
you
remember
hear in our language how amazed we are when
yes.
things align. Stop
Yeah.
being amazed and start watching for them is what I was told. And when you start to watch for them and set those intentions, the world is phenomenal.
I think we should get together and do a new moon ceremony soon because it's coming up again.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Absolutely. Yeah.
Invite everyone we know, have an in-person, and watch how the magic and the energies shift for somebody in the next 28 days.
Yeah, that would be super. Let's think about that a little more. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back from this little break, then if you're willing, I'll do some rapid fire questions,
Absolutely.
and we can continue our conversation and see where it leads us. So we will be right back after this little break.
Mental fitness, the missing X factor for enhancing performance, achievement, and success. Mental fitness empowers you with the magic of 3: stabilized mood, peace of mind, deeper relationships. Time to make it happen? Grow the self-command muscle. Intercept your self-defenses. Build your inner wisdom. In less than 15 minutes a day, gain the missing X factor. Let me show you how.
There comes a time we wonder, what's next? For women like us, as we stand at the edge of fulfillment, are you feeling unsettled, restless, not quite right? That's midlife awakening. Are you looking for fulfillment? Or to squeeze more juice out of life? Midlife awakening at the edge of fulfillment, don't miss it. We understand. By phone or laptop, wherever you are, come join us. Friday 10 a.m. Eastern Time, on Head Heart Synergy Facebook business page, or here, on the Women4 Women Network Radio and Talk 4 TV.
Well, welcome back, and we are having a wonderful conversation with Christine Dorie, and we're going to do some rapid fire questions, Christine. So whatever comes to mind, that's just fine.
Sounds good.
Are you ready? All right.
Oh yeah.
So when life calls you to be brave, and you get that feeling of fear in your throat, what's the first thing you do?
Self-talk. I can do this. I got this. I've always got this. I'm always covered.
Oh, I love it. And I'm that girl.
And I'm that girl. I'll get her done.
Awesome. Okay, next question. So for you, what is vulnerability? What are things that you hold?
Oh, there's that protection of my heart. Vulnerability to me is being very open with people, and I guess seeing me for me. And I find that, where we live in an age where people wear masks all the time, and
Literally.
literally, no, but I mean, like, you have a work mask, you have a friend's mask, you have a relationship mask, you have a children mask, like, you're all these people combined in these masks, but yet vulnerability to me is being very open and very, this is who I am, and this is what I'm feeling and what my heart's saying, and I find it really hard to be there, and I'm working on that. That is still a work in progress. I'm that girl. I still have to do it, but it's very hard for me, because I have felt that I have never been validated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
What is something that people get wrong about you all the time?
That I'm cold. I'm not cold. I feel so many things all at once, and there's so many thoughts that go through my head, but I come across as a very cold person, or uncaring, or I want to be the center of it. I was told that you're always looking to be the center of attention. And I'm like, no. But I have all of this going on in my head. So, like, I find expression, I'm learning verbally, expression is much easier than allowing it to roll around a million times in my head, because then you can get focused, right?
So just say it, get it out, and you're done.
Get it out, let it release. Absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes I think people mistake that bluntness for
Yes.
coldness, and it's not coldness at all. And
Yeah.
how can you be cold with fiery red hair, right?
Well, some people are afraid of that.
Ah. What was the last TV show that you binged and loved?
Shameless. I love that TV show. Shameless. Like it's every ordinary people living in New York, but the original one was from England. But
Ah.
it's Shameless. That was the last binge watch, and then the horror show with Lady Gaga was on it. I loved that show too, but that was so many years ago. I
Well,
think I only got to season 5 on all of them.
it
Viking was
still
another one.
counts.
Yeah, and Vikings were another one, and the other one, Game of Thrones. I love that
Mm.
one. That's a time period where I would have loved to live in. I
Or
don't know why, but I do.
maybe did.
Or did,
Or
yes.
did. What's your favorite meal or movie? Favorite meal
My
or movie?
my favorite meal is steak. Steak and red wine. Who could go wrong?
Mm. I'm coming for dinner.
Yes.
What books or book is on your nightstand right now?
Spiritual badass. I received it as a sorry for the swearing, but I received it for a birthday gift, and I've been dying to read this book. So it's pretty fun. It's a fun book. So I wanted to have it read before I came on, but there was no way that I could have got it done. How to be a spiritual badass. I like that.
Oh, I think that's an awesome title. I'll have to
Yeah.
check that one out. Yeah. What single snapshot I can't speak either. What single snapshot or memory that brings you the most joy?
The time with my grandmother.
Okay. And what's one sentence, piece of advice that you have about life?
Live it.
Oh,
Because
lovely.
when we're all done here, when we get there, it won't matter.
And one last, what are you most grateful for?
I'm grateful for the people in my life right now, my partner, my children, my partner's family, my sister, my close friends, and we all know who you are. And I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful to be healthy. I'm grateful just for my immediate circle that I socialize with. My car just got hit.
Like right now?
Yeah, she opened her door and smacked my car. I love it. It's a blue
Oh,
Volkswagen. Why not hit it? But
oh,
yeah, I'm very grateful for the things in my life right now.
I'm grateful for my first dent.
No, it'd be my
I hope it
second death.
I hope it isn't. Oh, well,
Well,
thank
she
you.
stared at me and she opened her door, and I'm like, really?
Oh dear.
Nobody
Well,
was around here. I was quiet all by myself. And then they want to join that girl.
they do. They're attracted to you. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today, Christine, and for all of our viewers and listeners here on the Edge of Fulfillment on the Women4 Women Network Radio and Talk for TV. And I am so grateful for the time that we have spent together today.
I am too. Thank you so much for having me on. I just want to say you can follow me on the Soul Rocker page. I didn't realize that it wasn't published on Facebook when it's been there for like 10 years. And then I was like, oh, I guess I better go back in and publish it. But, I have a vast interest. So, whether it's the moon phase, the witchery, or whether it's pagan, whether it's Christianity, you'll find it there. You will find it there.
Awesome. And people should go and look for you. Is there any message that you haven't been able to give that you'd like to give as we wrap up?
Find gratitude every day, regardless. Because, instead of looking down at people, bring them up.
Yeah. Melody Beattie says gratitude unlocks the fullness of life and shows us what is enough. Gratitude turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, and confusion into clarity. So a meal becomes a feast, a house
Absolutely.
becomes a home, and a stranger becomes a friend. And I want to thank you today, because if we've met anyone here as a stranger, they will now count among us as friends. And I want to thank you for being my friend and for being here today on the show.
Well, thank you, Lorraine, and thank you for being part of my life right now. I love it.
Oh, you are most welcome. And I am your host, Lorraine Lapointe of Head Heart Synergy, reminding you that here on the edge of fulfillment, there is always a choice. You can stay on the edge, getting always what you've already got, or you can become courageous and move beyond the edge and get what you really want. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.